Hello, welcome back to another Spectrum Geeks video. I hope you're doing well and you and your family are staying safe, washing your hands and all of this COVID-19 business. It's that time of the month again where we talk about one of the many things that I like to geek out about, and that is my solar performance statistics for my 9 kilowatt system here in the UK. Let's roll the intro and then get into the details. I hope you're well. I'm a little under the weather, so this is why this video is a few days later than normal. But we go over the solar stats and performance of my system here in the UK. So as usual, in case it's the first time you're watching, I have a 9 kilowatt solar array. They're made up of Pymar panels. Each of those panels has a solar edge optimizer on them. That's all connected back to a 6 kilowatt solar edge inverter. I have connected to that a Tesla Powerwall 2 with a non-backup gateway, and then in addition to that I have the My Energy Zappy, which I use to charge my Tesla Model S, and I also have a My Energy Eddy that I use to heat the hot water with any surplus solar, and those are all connected via the My Energy Harvey, which basically now enables the CT clamps to be connected to the Harvey and communicate wirelessly to those devices. I get my energy from Octopus Energy. I'm on the Octopus Go tariff, which means that I have off-peak rates in between 4:30 midnight and 4:30 in the morning. There's a link down below in the description if you decide you want to move to them. We both get £50. I like them because I think the rates are pretty good, but the customer services are really good. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So we're going to go through the solar kind of performance stats for my system here in the UK for the month of April. I think it felt pretty hot and I think it seemed to work really well, and obviously with us being on lockdown, haven't been using the car at all. So had lots of surplus, I think, but we'll see kind of how things kind of worked out. I've not looked at it yet myself. So we'll move over to the computer screen and go through these stats together. Please excuse my coughing. Okay, so here we are for the month of April. So starting off on the system production, so 1.09 megawatt hours of generation. 84% of that was self-consumed and 16% was exported. So yeah, a higher export than I thought. But what is interesting is if we look at the consumption there, so 1.05 and a self-consumption 0.91, but we still imported 0.14 megawatt hours. So that basically means, you know, we still had a 3% kind of variance. So we had 3% energy to spare compared to what we had overall. And if we look at the little chart there, we can see probably the reason for that is in the beginning of the month and a little bit at the end of the month, the solar generation didn't meet the requirements of the house needs. So one thing to keep in mind as always when we go through this is kind of how my house is using energy. So I do use a lot of energy because I'm working from home 100%, got various computers and servers and everything running at the same time. Also was a little bit cold still at the beginning of April, so I know I had the heater on in the cave over here a couple of times, so that would have done something. And even though I was charging the car I think for a little bit to start with this month, but all the rest of it is obviously going into the Powerwall and the hot water. And also because of the coronavirus stuff, I've got both my kids and my wife are at home working and doing schoolwork, and their computers on as well. So in general, the house is using more energy than it normally would over the month and each day by day. Before we go into the day by day, if we have a quick look down the bottom here, if we look at comparison. So we only have 2019 to compare it to, but we can see there April was mega improved compared to last year. So we definitely had a much sunnier April this year than we had last year, which is pretty good. It makes up for deficit that we had in February, really. So it'll be interesting to see how the whole year kind of pans out. But yeah, so it should be pretty good. So yeah, I'm impressed with the performance. And again, so the house is pretty much covering itself. We have used some gas this month, and I think with the standing charge as well, it turned up about £10 for the month for gas. In terms of electricity, please excuse me, I still don't know basically the electricity, because I think I mentioned before, since I had my SMETS 2 meter in, the energy readings have not been taken automatically, and Octopus Energy is still looking into it. So I still haven't had electricity bill since like January or something. So I'm worried that there's going to be a shocker, but still confident that we will get any issues resolved, because like I said before, I am happy with their customer service. Okay, so let's go into the 1st of April, see how things kind of stack up. So not great weather, still rolling on from March, being a bit miserable. So here, what's going on here? So 2:30, that's hot water. So hot water still got a boost configuration that to heat up water from the grid on the off-peak energy. I turned that off some way through April, so that wouldn't have been happening anymore, because we're just going to start relying on the sun. The sun isn't that great, so only 11.25 kilowatts the whole day, so we're pulling from the grid a lot. Move on to the 2nd. I noticed that the Solar Edge app is running a bit poor today. So some reasonable kind of generation and stuff going on in the day. So we got like nearly 24 kilowatt hours. We still had some deficit into the evening. Then if we look at the 3rd, we can see again quite a bit of pull in the morning. I think the car may have actually been charging at this time, or actually no, it's more like the Powerwall charging there, because it's reaching up to 5 kilowatts. So Powerwall tends to pull around 4 kilowatts, and the house steady state's around 800 watts or something, so it kind of makes sense. But good solar day there, keeps us going all the way through into the evening. I had to pull from the grid. We just move over to the 4th, and again there's some Powerwall charge going on there in the early hours of the morning, but again a reasonable day through the rest of the day to nearly 21 kilowatt hours. One thing I mentioned, the reason the Powerwall is still pulling from the grid is I don't set my Powerwall to be only charging from solar. I still have it make its own decision as to whether it needs to pull from the grid or not, and as the month goes on you'll see that requirement to pull from the grid minimises. If we look here on the 5th, there we can see already, look, only a very small spike where the Powerwall decided to pull from the grid, so it believed that it would have enough solar generation the following day to fully kind of charge it up. And again, it was a brilliant day, and just under 40 kilowatt hours of solar. And yeah, we had a bit of exporting going on there as well, so not bad for the 5th. Okay, we'll move on to the 6th. Again, a bit of Powerwall pull there in the early hours of the morning, which is a bit frustrating because we definitely didn't need it, because we had 3.71 kilowatt hours. But again, a reasonable day, obviously quite overcast, hence the spiking. But you can see, we're clipping at 6 kilowatts across the top there. And again, not a very nice curve, but we'll see later on in the month, hopefully there should be some nice curved days coming, because we have some really sunny, clear days. On to the 7th, again, only a little bit of charging from the Powerwall early hours of the morning, and not a bad curve, a little bit overcast again because it's a bit spiky. What we're really looking for is a really nice bell that kind of goes over there, but we're seeing, what is it, 6, we're hitting 6 kilowatts by 9 AM. So the nice long days are coming, but we start to kind of tail off. Things start to get a little bit unusable by about 4 o'clock there, really. On to the 7th. When this decides to load. Okay, so still a little bit of Powerwall pull early hours of the morning, and a reasonable day, 31.49 kilowatt hours. Again, we've got a bit of export, keeps us going all the way into the evening without any issues. So the house is running itself pretty much fully from solar. Be interesting to see. Oh yeah, a little bit of spike, but a much better day. So a much nicer curve, which is good. Quite a lot of export, and we see we're kind of getting up about 6 kilowatts there at around 10 o'clock. So it's interesting. So it's always interesting. We still have this little bit of import in the morning, obviously for the Powerwall. You see, we want a day where we didn't have any Powerwall pull. Again, still pulling from the Powerwall early hours of the morning. And again, that's frustrating because we've got lots of excess again there. And not a great curve either, so it must have been overcast a bit in the morning and the afternoon. 11th, very minimal Powerwall pull there. It's a little kind of blip. But lots of good generation, 43.37 kilowatt hours. And lots of export there, so 12.39 kilowatt hours. Could have filled another Powerwall, but this is really again mainly because not going anywhere, so the car's not charging. So normally all that would be going into my car. Okay, 12th, a little bit of pull again in the morning. Please excuse, that's my ring doorbell dinging away. Must be the postman or the sun or something. Okay, so again, not a bad day, 38.86 kilowatt hours, but overcast, hence it being very spiky, and an odd spike there around 4:45. That must be some cooking or something going on, or a kettle that boiled or something, and the Powerwall and everything didn't react quick enough. The 13th. Loads. Okay, some more Powerwall charging in the morning, which I'm trying to see if it's. I guess that's probably not a bad decision. We imported 3.37, exported 3.57, so perhaps it did need that to keep us going through the whole day. It is a bit spiky. Let's see what the 13th brings us. Okay, it's another interesting day there. So it would have been a nice curve. So we've got this obviously overcast bit in the middle there. But again, we're hitting 6 kilowatts at 8:30 AM in the morning now. So 46.85 and loads of export, which is nice. So much cleaner curve there on the 14th. As we move on to the 15th. Again, don't know why the Powerwall decided to do this. Again, I could decide to switch it to solar only, but because the weather can still be a bit variable, I like it to try and do a little bit. And I'm not, at the end of the day, 2.86 kilowatts, that cost me less than 15 pence. I can live with that. But yeah, good day there. So 8:45, clipping at 6 kilowatts, and 14.97 kilowatt hours exported. Okay, so move along to the 16th. Very little pull on the Powerwall in the early hours of the morning, which is good. A nice, reasonable day up until kind of lunchtime. Then obviously got a bit overcast, but still massive exports. 17th, overcast and cloudy. So this is why you don't want to have your Powerwall set to just be solar only if you're a higher user like me, because you really wanted it to try and pull in a little bit more than that, I think, because then tomorrow, if it's not sunny, will give us some issues. Yeah, so again, because the Powerwall didn't fully charge from the grid, and it's not fully charging itself from solar either, then we have this deficit, so we had to import 11 kilowatt hours of energy in the end. Okay, 19th is much better, so we can see a bit of grid pulling, which probably isn't needed, but I guess it's trying to kind of work out what happened the day before. But a nicer day, not a really super kind of nice graduated curve, but not bad. And we can see there clipping for hours pretty much. So from 8:45 all the way through to 12:15, we got solid maximisation of energy going into the inverter there, which is what we like to see. Okay, 20th, another good day. Look at that, 10.51 kilowatt hours of export. Still a bit of Powerwall pull early hours of the morning, but again we've got 8:30 till 1:15, pretty much maximising the energy that we can get from the inverter. So 50.16 kilowatt hours. I have to check actually what my record was for one day. I think it's 56 or something. 21st, another good day. Still a bit of power pull early hours of the morning, and a couple of odd spikes there, which must be a combination of hot water and the power kind of pulling for power there. But a lovely day there. 22nd, still a bit of grid pull from the Powerwall early hours of the morning, which then settles down. But another good day, 49.69 kilowatt hours. And very little import, but massive export again. 23rd, still some grid pull in the morning, but another solid day. 24th, more grid pull still, but not another good day, 49.05 kilowatt hours. And the 25th, again, very small amount of grid pull there, not too bad, 1.6 kilowatt hours altogether, and a reasonable day, pretty good performance, but we exported a little bit less, so 7.85 kilowatts. The one thing that I like about heating the water from the solar actually is I have the thermostat set a lot higher, so we get really hot water in a tank, which keeps kind of the water hot for longer over multiple days if we don't have as much sun, as opposed to with the gas. I don't have the thermostat set as high, and I do need to kind of benefit from heating the water in the evenings in the winter. Okay, so move on to the 26th. Again, getting much better, hardly any pull in the off-peak, which is what we're looking for. There's probably actually a little bit of cycling that may be happening with the Powerwall there at the early hours of the morning. Really nice curve there, so the system's performing well. And as the summer gets here, we'll have much longer kind of periods where we're kind of maximising until the sun moves over the front of my house. But yeah, that's a really good performance day, loads of export. Next day, not that great, so a little bit of activity off peak in the morning there, and very overcast day. 28th, bad day. So we obviously could have done with filling up the Powerwall in the morning, but because I guess the Powerwall doesn't know all the things, so it didn't know that weather was going to be terrible, which meant we're having to pull from the grid a hell of a lot. So not massive consumption, but 7.95 kilowatt hours imported there. 29th, again, bit of Powerwall stuff going on in the morning there, but the rest of the day wasn't too bad. Did manage to obviously put our energy into the Powerwall, but possibly not enough for the 30th, depending on what the weather's going to be like. And then we finish off the month with, again, a very overcast day, a bit sketchy, so a bit of Powerwall action kind of going on in the morning, very irregular in terms of how it's pulling from the grid there, but we finish off the day with 5.16 kilowatt hours we imported. Okay, so that's the month as things stand. So a pretty good month in April. Happy with the performance of the system. Continues to perform well. Again, if you're not familiar with the channel, you may be saying, with all that export, perhaps it makes sense to have another Powerwall. And that is something that I do sometimes think about. But as said before, this current situation is quite unique, obviously, because we're not travelling anywhere. Actually, both of my cars are sawn at the moment, and if I go anywhere for the supermarket or whatever, going on my motorbike, so not using the cars. But obviously, had this be normal circumstance, a large majority of that export would be just going into my Tesla, to obviously be running that from solar energy, and hopefully this year plan to get some form of EV for my wife, so they both have electric vehicles. So it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to get another Powerwall right now. One, I don't have the money to buy one of those, or would not, at least not choose to buy one. Perhaps other toys instead. But I think if having one car at home like we have normally, all the energy will go into kind of charging my Tesla, and then the other EV that won't be at home as much. Then we can either charge at the weekend if the weather's good, or again just charge in the off-peak, and it's not going to be too bad. So if we look at some of the final other energy rating information we have. So for the My Energy Eddy, so how much energy did we put into hot water? So for the month of April, we put 168 kilowatt hours of energy into heating hot water from solar surplus, which is really good, and the water has been nice and scorchio for the whole month pretty much. It's been really good. At the beginning of the month there was some charging that I pulled from the grid into the car. I think that's because obviously we didn't really know what was going on, and I'm not quite sure why that happened. And maybe this information is a bit inaccurate. I think sometimes the Zappi does weird stuff, but anyway, let's assume it is correct. It's not always a great thing with the Minergy stuff, but the Zappi said it had 9.78 kilowatt hours of energy come from the grid into the car in April. And if that's true, it's not the end of the world. That's about 48 pence, so not too much I'm going to worry about. And then from the Powerwall, I was able to get 320 kilowatt hours of energy out of the Powerwall into powering all the things in the home. So a good month. Excuse me again, apologies for the coughing throughout the video. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the system continues to perform. Please leave comments below, share how your system's performing, ask any questions, and thanks for being part of the community. And again, take care of yourselves, look after each other, and see you on the other side.
Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.